Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Let's do another book haul, shall we? So I've accumulated a few books, 22 to be exact. I have separated them by genre. We have YA, we have some country romances in there, we have some rom-coms, we have thrillers, we have horror, and we have one magical realism. We also have a dark romance slash fantasy horror book that I'm excited to read. Without further ado, let's get right into it because it is a lot that I'm going to go through and this video might be long. Of course, I'm going to start off with my romances and I'm going to start it off with a very cute YA that I've been dying to read, and that is Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. Look how cute this cover is. Doesn't it scream summer? It's so cute. It says, a must for romance readers. The one guy Bailey Rydell can't stand is actually the boy of her dreams. He just doesn't know it yet. This is a YA romance about a girl who ends up working at a museum and she doesn't get along with this boy there, but luckily does she know that this is the boy that she falls in love with, something like that. Classic movie fan Bailey Mink Rydell has spent months crushing on a witty film geek she only knows online as Alex. Two coasts separate the teens until Bailey moves in with her dad, who lives in the same California surfing town as her online crush. Faced with doubt, what if he's a creep in real life, or worse, Bailey doesn't tell Alex she's moved into his hometown, or that she's landed a job at the local tourist trap museum, or that she's being heckled daily by the irritatingly hot museum security guard Porter Roth, aka her new arch nemesis. But life is a whole lot messier than in the movies, especially when Bailey discovers those tricky fine lines dividing hate, love, and whatever it is she's starting to feel for Porter. And as the summer months go by, Bailey must choose whether to cling to a dreamy online fantasy in Alex or take a risk on an imperfect reality with Porter. The choice is both simpler and more complicated than she realizes because Porter Roth is hiding a secret of his own. Porter is Alex Approximately. Oh, this is going to be so cute, you guys. I am so excited. I can't wait to read this. I have a goal that I want to read a lot of my summer books that I already have or have accumulated before this summer is over. But again, that's very ambitious. So I know I'm not going to get to all of them. I would like to, but I'm probably just going to get to a few. And this is on my top priority list. Next up, we have The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. Look how cute this cover is. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Two people make a wager on who can find love first, not realizing what they should be betting on is each other in this new romantic comedy. I've heard nothing but cute things about this book, and it is Lynn Painter, and I do like her YA romances. This can't be any more different. This is one of her adult romances, one of her newer ones. I just can't wait to read it. It looks like it's going to be fast and easy too. I can't wait. Holly Piper is turning over a new leaf. After belly crawling out of a hotel room, hello rock bottom, she decides it's time to become a full-on adult. She gets a new apartment, a new haircut, and a new wardrobe, but when she logs on to the dating app that she has determined will find her new love, she sees none other than Jack Marshall, the guy whose room she snuck out of. After agreeing they are absolutely not interested in each other, Jack and Holly realize they're each other's wing person in their searches for the one. They text about their dates, often scheduling them at the same restaurant so that if things don't go well, the two of them can get tacos afterward. Spoiler, they get a lot of tacos together. Discouraged by the lack of prospects, Jack and Holly make a wager to see who can find true love first, but when they agree to fake dates for a weekend wedding, all bets are off. As they pretend to be a couple, lines become blurred and each other struggles to remember why the other was a bad idea to begin with. It's a fake dating trope. They're also dating other people and they have a wager going on. It sounds like a fun time. Next up, I have The Kiss Quotient by Ellen Hung, and this one I heard is super steamy. There's also some representation in there. I believe she has Asperger's. She does not know how to date, so she hires an escort to teach her how to date, which we all know it's going to be super steamy. Stella Lone comes up with algorithms to predict customer purchases, a job that has given her more money than she knows what to do with and way less experience in the dating department than the average 30-year-old. It doesn't help that Stella has Asperger's or that French kissing reminds her of a shark getting its teeth cleaned by pilot fish. Her conclusion, she needs lots of practice with a professional, which is why she hires escort Michael Phan. With the looks of the K-drama star and the martial arts moves to match, the Vietnamese Swedish stunner can't afford to turn down Stella's offer. And when she comes up with a lesson plan, he proves willing to help her check off all the boxes from foreplay to more than missionary position. Oh my gosh, this could be so cute and super steamy. I am so excited to read this. Next up, we have The Plus One by Maisie Eddings. I heard this is a cute little summer wedding romance. She's not looking to fix him, she's looking to love him if he'll let her in. Some facts are indisputable. The sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Gravity exists. Indira doesn't like Jude. Jude doesn't like Indira. But what happens when these childhood enemies find the one thing that they can rely on is each other? On paper, Indira has everything together, an amazing job, a boyfriend, and a car. What more could a late 20-something ask for? But when she walks in on her boyfriend in an amorous embrace with a stranger, that perfect on paper image goes up in flames. Jude has nothing together, a doctor who spent the last 3 years traveling the world to treat emergencies and humanitarian crises. Jude struggles to adjust during a quick trip home from his best friend's wedding. Thrust on an elaborate and ridiculously drawn-out wedding event, that's stressing Jude beyond belief and has Indira seeing his ex and his new girlfriend far more frequently than any human should endure. The duo strike a bargain to be each other's fake dates to this wedding from hell. The only problem is their forced proximity and fake displays of affection are starting to feel a bit real, and both are left grappling with the idea that a situation that couldn't be worse is made a little better with the other around. So this is a fake dating trope. They probably have to stay in the same room, so forced proximity. They were enemies at one point, so I'm very excited to read this because it has all the tropes that I love and I'm interested in. Next up is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I've heard this book is very emotional. It's about two authors, and I believe it is a second chance romance. It says 7 days to fall in love, 15 years to forget, and 7 days to get it all back again. Ava Mercy is a single mom and best-selling erotica writer who is feeling pressed from all sides. Shane Hall is a reclusive, award-winning novelist who, to everyone's surprise, shows up in New York. When Shane and Ava meet unexpectedly at a Black literary event, sparks fly, but what no one knows is that 15 years earlier, teenage Ava and Shane spent one crazy torrid week madly in love and have been secretly writing to each other in their books ever since. That is so romantic. They write love stories about one another in their books. Like I said, I love books about authors, writers, editors, like anything like that I love. I eat it up. And the fact that they're both two authors and in their stories they write about each other, that's so romantic. Over this next 7 days, amidst a steamy Brooklyn summer, Ava and Shane reconnect, but Ava's wary of the man who broke her heart. Before Shane disappears again, she needs a few questions answered. So that's all I'm going to read. I basically read the entire back for you, but I'm very interested to see what kind of emotions this book brings out of me. Next up, I have the first book in the series by Anna Hung, and that is the 7 Deadly Sins series that I have yet to read. That would be King of Pride by Anna Hung. Look how beautiful this cover is. All these romance covers, like, look at that. That is so beautiful. It follows Kai Young and Isabella Valencia, and they couldn't be polar opposites. I believe they hate each other. They're enemies. She's his opposite in every way and the greatest temptation he's ever known. Reserved, controlled, and proper to a fault, Kai Young has neither the time nor inclination for chaos, and Isabella, with her purple hair and inappropriate jokes, is chaos personified. With a crucial CEO vote looming and a media empire at stake, the billionaire heir can't afford the distraction she brings. Isabella is everything he shouldn't want, but with every look and every touch, he's tempted to break all his rules and claim her as his own. Bold, impulsive, and full of life, Isabella Valencia has never met a party she doesn't like or a man she couldn't charm except for Kai Young. It shouldn't matter, he's not her type. The man translates classics into Latin for fun, and his membership in the exclusive club where she bartends means he's strictly off limits. But she can't deny that beneath his cool exterior is a man who could make her melt with just a touch. No matter how hard they try, they can't resist giving into their forbidden desires, even if it costs them everything. Ooh, this sounds like it's really good. It's really steamy and it's up my alley because he's probably like a mobster or something, honestly. You know, morally gray, maybe kills people. I don't know. I can't wait to find out. Next up, I have The Infinity Between Us by N.S. Perkins. This is a short little book. I think it's only 288 pages. I don't know anything about it. It says true love always remains. 18 years of summers spent in a beach house in Maine have brought Violet Mitchell and Will Will Seberg together for 2 perfect beach-filled months every year. They spent every waking moment together, first as friends until one summer changed everything. But before the two even had a chance to claim the love they'd spent their entire lives creating, disaster struck, tearing the two lovers and their families apart. Heartbroken and haunted by the memories of that fateful summer, Violet struggles to move on from the past. Still, she promises herself to never contact Will again. But 5 years later, when Violet arrives to finalize the sale of the property, she finds Will right there, right where she left him, sun-kissed, loving, and so incredibly sorry. Ugh. I can't wait. I feel like this is gonna like tug on my heartstrings. So I can't wait to read this. I'm very excited and it's so summery. I probably should put this on my summer reads list of the books that I want to get to before the end of summer. Next up I have Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer, a second chance romance, and I believe this is a single dad. He's a troubled young actor, Hollywood's newest heartthrob, struggling with fame as a star of the latest superhero franchise. Though scandal after scandal, addiction on top of addiction, a flurry of paparazzi as he fights to conquer his demons. She's a single mother. She's a single mother, assistant manager at a grocery store, existing in monotony with her 5-year-old daughter. Lurid tabloids surround her, the face of a notorious bad boy hunting her from their covers. A man and a woman living vastly different lives, but that wasn't always the case. Once they were just a boy and a girl who bonded over comic books and fell in love unexpectedly. So it looks like he got famous. They were childhood lovers. He got famous and then he disappeared and ghosted her, and then he's come back for maybe a second chance. I heard this was really good. I heard nothing but great things about this book, so I can't wait to read it. It is actually, it's super long, like 448 pages, but I mean, I don't really mind romances being that long because that means they might be slower burns, there's more character development, and there's just more to unpack with these characters and their lives, which I absolutely love when it comes to a romance. I've learned that I really don't like to read about insta love, so I'm super excited to read this one. I can't wait to get to it. And the last 4 books in this romance section would be a series. That is no other than the Chestnut series by Elise Silver. I mean, all I know about this is that this is a cowboys romance series. All of them live in the ranch in the country. You know, they ride horses. I think the first 3 books are about brothers and their romances, and the last book is about either somebody that works with one of the brothers or a friend or a bodyguard, something like that. I'm so excited to read them. I'm not going to go into much detail because I'm sure you've heard this series before, but I can't wait to get to them because there's just such great romances I've heard, and the covers are beautiful. First one is Flawless. Look at that. Look at that beautiful cover. The second one is Heartless. The third one is Powerless. And the fourth one is Reckless. Now, all I will say about this one, looking at the cover, I've heard that this one is a pregnancy trope. I don't really like books that involve pregnancies. Like, I just don't. It's not my thing. But I've heard this one is really good, so I can't wait to read it. I will say a little blurb at the back of them that kind of give you a hint on what they are. The first one says, "The rules were simple. Keep my hands off his daughter and stay out of trouble. But now I'm stuck with her. There's only one bed and, well, rules are made to be broken." Ooh, this sounds like forced proximity and forbidden love because it's his boss's daughter, maybe. The next one says, "Working as a nanny for the world's grumpiest single dad should have been simple, except I can't keep my eyes off of him and he can't keep his hands off of me." Ooh, a single dad trope like that. I don't know why I said that. That sounded very cringy, but I like that trope. Next one says, 2 childhood friends, 2 broken hearts, 1 impromptu road trip to get away from everything. That's all this was supposed to be. After all, I've been living in the friend zone for years now. Ooh, 2 childhood friends romances. I love those. And then this one, Theo Silva, rowdy bull rider, notorious ladies' man, scorching hot trouble, wrapped up in a drool-worthy package. I can't say any more about how excited I am to read all these books. I feel like I might vlog them. I don't know. Let me know if you guys are interested in me doing a reading vlog of just this series because I feel like I can't just read the first book. I'll have to read all of them. Next up, I have magical realism and a cute little cozy fantasy book. The first one, of course, is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. And this book is a cozy fantasy and it's super cute. The premise is super cute. It's about Viv, who is an orc, and this is Viv, who is an orc, and she decides that she's done going to battle and being a warrior. She just wants to open a coffee shop. and the story goes from there. It's also considered a comfort read. After a lifetime of bounties and bloodshed, Viv is hanging up her sword for the last time. The battle-weary orc aims to start fresh, opening the first ever coffee shop in the city of Thun. But rivals old and new stand in the way of success, not to mention the fact that no one has the faintest idea what coffee actually is. How cute is that? Like, she's trying to open a coffee shop, but she doesn't know how to run it. And I'm pretty sure she doesn't know how to make coffee either. This book is going to be my like end of August book that I want to read, maybe like when it starts getting towards fall. It also has a lot of details on the coffee and the desserts there, how they make them too. I think there's also a cute little mouse in it too. So I'm very excited to read this during the fall season. And also another one comes out too. I forgot the name of it, but I'll put it up here somewhere. And that one's about a bookstore, but also orcs. Sounds very, very comforting and cute. Right up my alley during the fall season. If Viv wants to put the blade behind her and make her plans a reality, she won't be able to go it alone, but the true rewards of the uncharted path and the travelers you meet along the way. I am super excited to read this. This next one is a magical realism, and I think it's about generations of witches, if I'm not mistaken, and that is Wayward by Amelia Hart. Look at how beautiful. I feel like this book haul has nothing but beautiful covers. Like, look how beautiful that is. That is gorgeous. 2019, under a cover of darkness, Kate flees London for a ramshackle Wayward cottage, inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers. With its tumbling ivy and overgrown garden, the cottage is worlds away from the abusive partner who tormented Kate. But when she soon suspects that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. 1619, Altha is waiting trial for the murder of a local farmer who was stampeded to death by his herd. When Altha was a girl, her mother taught her their magic. Okay, my camera ran out of batteries, so I apologize for that. But where were we? This is basically about witches and witch trials. It takes place in a span of 3 different generations or 3 different time frames. 2019, 1619, and 1942. For some reason, I feel like this book is about these witches that interconnect with each other, or their lives connect at some point, or their ancestors or something like that. I've heard nothing but great things. I can't wait to read it. I'm excited for it. Now let's move on to my cozy mystery, thrillers, mysteries, and horrors, of course. The first one and only cozy mystery in this whole stack would be The Maid by Nita Praz. And of course you've heard of this. This has been out for quite some time. It has been on my radar. I finally purchased it. I'm so excited. And this is a cozy mystery about a maid who's doing her housekeeping, cleaning, and in one of the rooms that she's set out to clean, she finds a dead body. And so this whole book is about her trying to prove that she's innocent and that she did not commit the crime. And I also think this has representation in there. The maid explores what it means to be the same as everyone else and yet entirely different, and reveals that all mysteries can be solved through connection to the human heart. So yeah, I am excited about this. It sounds like it's going to be fun and very heartfelt. Next up on my thrillers list, I'm very excited about this one because it is about a turmoil marriage, and I love nothing more than to read about a rocky marriage. And that is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. The psychological Hitchcock type thriller will keep hunting you. I believe this is about a perfect marriage in the outside who really, quite frankly, isn't that perfect behind closed doors. Maybe the husband's a little possessive, maybe the girl is trapped. Maybe he's keeping her trapped inside their own house. I don't know, but I can't wait to read it. Jack, handsome, dedicated lawyer, husband. Grace, elegant housewife, prisoner. Everyone knows a couple like Jack and Grace. He has looks and wealth. She has charm and elegance. You might not want to like them, but you do. You'd like to get to know Grace better, but it's difficult because you realize they are never apart. Some might call this true love. Others might ask why Grace never answers the phone or can't meet for lunch without Jack, and why there are bars on one of the bedroom windows. Sometimes the perfect marriage is the perfect lie. That's very interesting. I can't wait to read it. Next up, I have a short story collection, and I'm very excited because this is going to be my first short story collection, and I've heard nothing but great things about it. And that is 13 Stories by Jonathan Sims. It's literally 13 different short horror stories. It all happens in the same building complex. That's all I know about it. And that's all I really need to know about it. I'm just going to go in it blind, and I can't wait to read it. Next up, I have The Appeal by Janice Hallett. One murder, 15 suspects. Can you you uncover the truth. This is very interesting because I feel like this is a small town drama. What I know about this is that it's about a grandmother who makes a post in the community and says, my granddaughter just got diagnosed with cancer. I'm doing a GoFundMe account. Can you please send payment this way? Everybody in the neighborhood is, of course, yes, we're gonna go ahead and fork up some money to help you out with the expenses. But one girl who suspiciously says, wait a minute, and she has more questions and she wants to know who diagnosed her, where she went. She asks all these very reasonable questions, but for some reason, nobody seems to answer them, or they seem to be brushed off. It almost seems like the whole town is corrupt, or the whole town is in on something suspicious, but this one girl who's actually suspicious of the entire situation. So I'm excited to read this. I heard it's really good. And it also looks like it's got email exchanges. I don't know about you, but I love when there's text messages, emails back and forth within a story. I think that's very fun. The next one on the list is Now You're One of Us by Aza Naomi. I don't know how to say her name. I'm so sorry. Here is a new classic about the bride who's no longer sure what to think. All families have their own ritual secrets, like a miniature religious cult. These quirks may elicit the mirth or mild alarm of guests, but the matter is rather more serious if you're marrying into a household. If it's a Japanese one with a history, then brace yourself. Some surprising truths lurk around the corner. 8 people, 4 generations, 1 household, with young newlywed Noriko joining the clan to make 9. Her husband, Kazuto, I don't even know, I'm so sorry, I'm butchering their names. Her young husband adores her to distraction, and her in-laws seem to be the most good-natured people imaginable. The family owns a thriving business and lives off on a sprawling estate in the suburbs of Tokyo, where they've created a floral paradise. Once a series of strange events and inconsistencies trigger Noriko's suspicions, however, reality becomes inseparable from her own darkest imaginings. What I've heard about this is it's about a woman who's just recently married. She goes and meets her husband's family, and just strange things happen. Really strange things. She's in the garden one day putting up her laundry or something like that, and the neighbor wants to talk to her. But then the grandma comes out and she's like, what do you need? Why don't you go back home? And it's very suspicious. That's all I've heard from people talking about this. I'm not going to say much because it is a shorter story. It's literally like 220 pages. So going into this, I don't want to know much. I just know that things are suspiciously happening, or there's just weird things about this family. Unfortunately, she ends up finding out. So that's all I know, and that's all I want to know about this book. I hope I made some sense reading you. The synopsis really doesn't make any sense, so I hope I made some sense explaining what I believe this book is about. I'm excited to read it. The next up is this creepy little horror that I'm excited to read, and it's very scary. And that is Nectophobia by Christopher Fowler. I mean, look at this. Look at this creepy, atmospheric looking cover. A breathtaking thriller set in the dark shadow of every day. And when you open it, like, look, when you open this up, it's just blank, dark pages, right? Even that's creepy. And then you keep going. I can be afraid of the dark easily, so this book is going to creep me out. It says, some doors should never be opened. It's a strange thing, nectophobia. You're not born with it. It can start at any time. It comes and goes, and it's one of the only phobias you can transmit to other people. And it's also about a newly married couple, which is very interesting to me. Newly married architect Callie and her wealthy husband Mateo moved to Hyperon House, a grand old home in southern Spain. It's an eccentric place built in front of a cliff, serene and beautiful, but eerily symmetrical and cunningly styled so that half of the house is flooded with light and half locked up and neglected. It's shrouded in darkness. Unemployed and feeling isolated in a foreign country, Callie determines to research the history of the curious building, but the past is sometimes best left alone. Uncovering the folklore of the house's strange history, Callie is drawn into darkness and delusion. As a teenager, Callie was afraid of the dark, and now with her adolescent nectophobia returning, she becomes convinced she's someone in the darkened room. Somewhere in the darkness lies the truth about Hyperion House, but some doors should never be open. So she's afraid of the dark. She's had this in her childhood, and she moves into this creepy house. Sounds like it's going to be terrifying. Right up my alley. I can't wait to read it. The next book I have is Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey. This is about blood-sucking little kids. That's all I'm gonna say. This is a horror about vampire kids or blood-sucking little kids. And nothing is more terrifying than an evil kid. On top of that, they are vampires or blood-sucking creatures. So many mouths to feed. It begins on an ordinary day. Children around the world are dying. All children everywhere. A global crisis beyond any parent's worst nightmare. Then a miracle beyond imagining. 3 days later, they return. Shattered mothers and fathers see their sons and daughters happy and whole once more, playing and laughing as before, but only when they feed. They hunger for blood, and they can't get enough upon which to feast. Without it, they die again. How far would you go to keep someone you love alive? I mean, I can't wait to read this. This is going to be so creepy and so atmospheric. Oh my gosh, I just can't wait. And the last book on the list is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. And this, I believe, is a story about Dracula's wife. Something like that. But I've heard it's beautifully written. I had to add it on my list just by that alone. I love books that are beautifully written and they're poetic, and I think this is what that's going to give me, but more eerie. This is a dark romance, fantasy, horror, so it's got a little bit of everything in there. It's a thrilling and seductive gothic ripe with spine-tingling tension and dark romance. This is the last letter to you, though some would call it a confession. So it begins the tale of Constanta, first bride of Dracula. So begins a tale of obsession, desire, and control. So begins her revenge. Saved from the brink of death by a mysterious stranger, Constanta is transformed from a medieval peasant into a bride fit for an undying king. But when Dracula draws a cunning aristocrat and a starving artist into his web of passion and deceit, Constanta realizes that her beloved is capable of terrible things. Finding comfort in the arms of her rival consorts, she begins to unravel their husband's dark secrets. With the lives of everyone she loves on the line, Constanta will have to choose between her own freedom and her love for her husband. But bonds forged by blood can be broken only by death. This sounds very good. I'm so excited to read this. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. That is the end of this book haul. I am so excited to read all these books. Don't know when I'm going to find the time because I keep accumulating books, but I'm so happy and I'm excited to share these with you. Let me know if you guys own any of these books, if you've read any of these, if you've added some of these onto your list. I would love to know that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!